Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corinne Sandifer, your host. Each week, I interview a business owner or author here on Rising Stories, and we chat about building businesses and working like a boss, slaying our tasks, and you'll learn about the best apps out there and how these women who are making it work and all of their best tools and practices. And because this show is called Rising Stories, my guest will share everyday stories that are sure to touch your heart and soul. We also hit on topics like work-life balance and living with intention and dreaming big. So I hope that you will sit back and relax and enjoy your favorite beverage and whatever it is you're doing, if you are jogging on the treadmill, if you are on your way to work, or if you're just doing a relaxing evening or maybe doing the dishes while you're listening. Thanks so much for choosing Rising Stories Podcast to listen to today. As always, I would love for you to connect with me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Want to bring to your attention a couple things on Facebook is that I have a new page called Corinne Sandifer, and then it's also part of Rising Stories Podcast. So head over to Facebook and look me up there. I also have a group of business owners and authors that have joined with me, and we have a group called Soul Care for the Business Owner and Author, and we have a blast there. We do a lot of encouraging and a lot of information that helps us just make it through the week. So if you want some encouragement, head over to Facebook and look up Soul Care for the Business Owner. Also on Twitter, I'm at Corinne Sandifer. It's a great way for you to connect with me, even if you're listening to the show and you want to have a question. Just shoot me a private message or tweet at me and I will answer. I also am at Corinne Sandifer on Instagram. So look for me there. I love to do Instagram stories. Would love for you to watch. You know, guys, today girls are facing so many messages about their bodies, who and what they should be when they grow up. It can be so overwhelming and filled with pressures like no other. Courtenay Rogers, my guest today, is the COO of Girls to the Moon, and she is working on making the world better for young girls. It's an online resource and local events program for young girls and their moms. Courtenay and I talk about those middle school years for girls and how she is teaching them to be their best selves. Listen as she shares more about girl power and how she runs this company. Girls to the Moon and Rising Stories is doing a giveaway to one lucky listener, so make sure you listen to the end of the show to get all the information about how to enter. Here is my conversation with Courtenay Rogers. Hi, Courtenay.
Hello, how are you?
Great. Thanks for joining me today on the show.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to meet you and then also get to have a conversation about Girls to the Moon.
Yeah, Girls to the Moon. You know, I was thinking about this morning. You know, I feel like I'm in the business of empowering women, and I feel like you're sort of the counterpart. You're empowering the younger age. The Girls to the Moon is empowering 10 to 14-year-olds, right?
Yes. Yeah, we decided that the way that we're going to change the world is by empowering girls while they are young, having these super important conversations with girls in the middle school age range before they get to high school and before they, get to the next stages of their life.
Yeah. Tell me what all you guys do to help further them along and, help them be confident.
Sure. So ultimately, our goal is to launch confident girls to be their best selves, impact their communities, and create a more inclusive culture. And that all sounds fine and fun and a powerful statement. But ultimately, we realized that if we could get girls together and have some tough conversations with them and bring in their caregivers, and we say caregivers because it's not just moms and it's not just dads, but it's really anyone who cares for these girls. Get them together, bring them together, whether it's at an event or if it's through different content that we create through blogs, podcasts, videos, Ultimately, if we can start these conversations with girls at a young age, then we really think we can make a difference. When we're telling 10-year-old girls that it's so important to love yourself and to love your body and be kind to other people and make a difference and be creative and basically do whatever you want to do to make a difference in the world, it's just so important to have these conversations early.
Yeah. So are you empowering them to maybe just to succeed more in school and, reach for, if they want to be, I know that the STEM programs are gaining momentum with more girls, more females. So are you doing that, sort of empowering them to reach, higher and into those areas that may not necessarily be, girl, heavy on some of the professions in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. So ultimately, and it's kind of crazy that in the year 2017 we're still having a lot of these conversations, but
Yeah,
yes,
right.
girls are not going into the STEM, the science, technology, education, and math areas as much as we'd like them. Girls still don't think that that's a place for them. Girls still say out loud all the time, I'm really bad at math.
Mm-hmm.
Girls assume that scientists and doctors and astronauts and firefighters and military folks are men. And so I think a lot of it is opening up their eyes to the different opportunities that are out there and ultimately bringing examples of incredible women who are doing this. So
Mm-hmm.
we started it was in 2015 by putting on an event called a conference. And it's a blend between a camp and a conference. We didn't want to call it a conference because young girls ages 10 to 14 don't want to hang out all day at a conference. It feels like
Right.
school. And it's not a camp because your parents or caregivers don't just drop you off. They actually stay and hang out with you throughout the day. So our first event was in 2015. We ended up with over 300 attendees. We had 26 speakers and 16 sponsors. And so those 26 speakers were women who talked about um, puberty, your changing body, talked about poetry and how that can change your life, talked about how to deal with mean girls. There was a woman who is an engineer and talked about how it's so important to get into engineering and science early and created a roller coaster and it showed these girls all the different ways that engineering is surrounds you in your everyday life.
Wow, that is so cool. I mean, I bet your conference sells out. I mean, what an amazing fun. All these topics sound great. I love them.
Yeah, so what we did is we crowdsourced girls and we said, what do you want to know about?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to learn about? What's really important to you? So there are three co-founders. There's myself, Knight Stivender, and Courtney Sider. We are all we're in our late 30s, almost 40. Two out of three of us have girls. And we know what we wish that we had talked about when we were young, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to just make that assumption. So we put together a pretty great survey and sent it out to hundreds of people, both girls and caregivers, and said, what do y'all want to talk about? And the topics that came back some were very much in line with what we assumed, and there were some things that we hadn't even thought about. One of the biggest is how to deal with mean girls and how
Mm.
not to become a mean girl.
Oh, that's good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so these middle school girls are really struggling with bullying, with
Yeah.
online bullying. Of course, none of us had the internet when we were 10. We didn't have social media when we were in high school, even college. I
Right.
mean,
We did it all by like notes.
exactly,
We wrote those
exactly.
horrible notes, or or people, no, not necessarily me, but
Oh,
and I like that you're approaching, touching on the subject of how not to be mean girls, because I think we need that I think they need to that needs to be defined,
oh,
with young
absolutely.
girls, because I think sometimes you fall
Absolutely.
into that. They fall into, saying something that's inappropriate or saying things that are maybe could cause someone some grief, and not really knowing that you're being a bully. That's not a nice thing to say.
Well, and a lot of times what we've realized is that people who bully or people who are mean are not confident in themselves. I've realized that as an almost 40-year-old woman in my 20s, I could be very judgmental and be very just mean. And it came back to me not being confident in myself. So we realized if we can instill self-confidence at a young age, we can really just make a huge difference in the amount of bullying and the amount of judgment that girls judge other girls, and women, oh my gosh, we're sometimes the worst. We are so judgmental of other women. And it comes down to, I'm probably judging you because I'm jealous of you, because I'm not confident in myself.
True. Yeah. Yeah. That is so important to touch on those subjects. Well, being that this is a podcast that's business related, tell me how you and Courtney and what was the other girl's name?
Night, night,
Yes, Night.
yeah, night with a
How? That's right. Yeah, what a unique name. Tell me how you guys got started. Was this just like a coffee shop date where y'all were talking about things, or how did this get launched?
So Night is really the mastermind behind this. She has a daughter who is now almost 16. And she, for years, had been talking and just having these ideas of how cool would it be if the conversations that she was having with her daughter, she could bring to a larger group.
Mm-hmm.
Then Night and I became really good friends. I actually moved back to Franklin. I moved to Franklin 8 years ago after getting a divorce, after happily divorcing. And I was a single mom. My daughter was 18 months old, and Night was one of the first people I met. And she had just gone through a divorce, and her daughter was older, but we just became very good friends and would have these conversations about, man, don't you wish that we had talked about this? Don't you wish that we had known this when we were younger? So for years, it was just a seed that had been planted, but neither of us had any idea how to execute it. So fast forward through our friendship, and it was in 2015, we decided that we were sick of talking and wanted to do something. So Night came over. It was a weekend where both of our daughters were with their dads, and we started thinking about how we could really make this happen. And it really culminated in an event. But first, we had to go through and come up with a name. I mean, we literally just had this idea, and we didn't
Wow.
have any of the assets to go with it. So Night came up with the name Girls to the Moon. We immediately, went to see if the URL, see if the domain was available, and girlstothemoon.com was available. So we bought it. We went and got our Facebook page and our Twitter handle, and built a WordPress landing page. And by midnight, we were like, okay, well, we're going to start a company.
Wow.
And so, yeah, my cousin is an attorney, and he helped us file our paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized that Night and I were definitely a powerful team, but we needed somebody else, and that someone else was Courtney Sider. And she has a really strong background in marketing and writing and technology. And Courtney is not a mom, which is a really great balance for us
Oh
because
yeah.
sometimes Night and I can just think too much like mothers
Mm-hmm.
and not enough like a caregiver, or just not like someone who just loves to empower young girls. So Courtney is really a perfect balance there. So we did. That was really, it was December of 14, but January of 15, we were ready to go. And we decided to put on our first event, and it was our Campference. And that was in September of 2015. And our Campference brought together girls ages 10 to 14, their caregivers, and 26 different speakers.
Wow.
So these speakers were all women, and we really try to be diverse in the folks that we choose to come speak to our girls. We want all the girls that show up to see someone who looks like them and to be able to really resonate, just say, wow, that person, I could do that. And so we had doctors and technologists and engineers and therapists and artists and tech, coders. We had these powerful, strong women come and speak to girls about all sorts of topics, ranging from creativity and innovation, health and wellness, how to deal with mean girls, how to love yourself. Poetry's changed my life. I mean, all sorts of amazing topics. And it really resonated. I mean, we validated our concept with that first conference big time.
That is amazing. Well, um, I think that doing this just really kind of brings everybody together when, especially girls, they're learning, as they're sitting in those, seminars and workshops that you're doing, that just empowers them already, just being there together. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. And it's also really important for girls who may not otherwise know each other to have an opportunity to meet one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like we want a diverse group of women speaking to our girls, we want our girls, the audience, to be diverse as well. So, perhaps you live in a place where there's not a lot of diversity. We really wanted to bring girls from all over Middle Tennessee together and meet each other, because otherwise they may not have ever been put in one another's lives. So to watch these young girls, I mean, 10 is young. 10 to 14 is a great age range for us.
Mm-hmm.
10 is, my daughter's 9. She's in 3rd grade. So, end of elementary school, before middle school, up until middle school. It's so awesome to see these girls interacting with one another, being kind, being inclusive, asking great questions of one another. We also have sponsors that come in and they can put together interactive booths. So we decided that rather than have a typical sponsorship where you just have someone standing there with a fishbowl collecting business cards, that we wanted our girls and caregivers to have just some fun, interactive time with our sponsors. So, for example, we had a bank that came in and sponsored us, and rather than just standing there and talking about their bank, we helped them come up with an idea to do a Wheel of Fortune type of thing where the girls would have a budget and they would decide how much things cost, and they could build a grocery list, and if they had $10 to spend, figure out what they could buy with that $10, and then at the end, whoever got closest to the budget would win something. We had a technology company who wanted to talk about coding and get these girls excited about coding at a young age. And so they set up a almost a maze, like an obstacle course to go through, where you would have to give instructions to someone just like they were coding a piece of software. So the whole entire experience of our conference and our events are really to engage with the girls in a way that is exciting for them, that
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that they can also take these conversations back home or back to school or back to the Girl Scouts or wherever it is, and continue the learning and continue the conversation. We don't want to just throw all this information at these girls on a Saturday, and then they just go back to their regular life and they don't get to take some of these lessons with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is, I love that you knew that they needed something different, like the whole bank thing. I love that because you're right. They're not going to, you know, these girls are not going to come up to the conference and go, oh, let me just put my business card in there, or, the moms might, but, or the caregivers might, but what a fun event where they're getting to learn something, and with all these workshops, and just, it sounds really fun because it sounds like you've got all these different moving parts of innovative and things that are designed for this age group, which is really cool. Now, we were talking earlier and you were saying that this is a social enterprise, so which means it's a for-profit organization that you've created.
Yeah.
What was the conversation that you guys had that was like, okay, we want it for profit and versus a non-profit? Tell me about
Yeah, I
that.
mean, sure. To be honest with you, we very quickly realized that we wanted to change the world and make money.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We, yeah, we feel like there are not enough women in leadership roles, in CEO roles, in high levels, making a difference, who are also building their own financial empire. And I don't say that in a way to say, all we want to do is make money, because obviously that's not our number one priority. But 2 out of 3 of us are single moms,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 out of 3 of us have daughters, and we want to leave a legacy to our girls. And so we thought we can change the world and set this up to make money and provide our own financial future. There are also a lot of amazing nonprofits already doing things that are similar. So rather than recreate the wheel and create competition within the nonprofit world, we partner with nonprofits. So, for example, there are some amazing groups in Nashville. Girls on the Run is one of them. Southern Girls Rock Camp, Girls Up Loud, Act Like a Girl. Like, there are already people that are making huge impacts on girls. So, one, we offer scholarship tickets to their audiences. So
Mm-hmm.
if they have people that want to come and they can afford a full price ticket, then fantastic, they can pay. And if not, we'll offer scholarships. And then something that we're going to do at the end of this year, and it's not in place and it's not out on our website yet, so I don't want to get too deep into the details, but we are going to pick specifically 3 to 4 nonprofits and just donate a certain percentage of our profits to them. So that's another way that we're giving back. We're giving back with our mission. We're giving back by ultimately helping these young girls create self-confidence and understand that they have so much potential and power in this world. And then we're going to make money so that we can continue to take this across the country and then use some of our proceeds and donate right back to the nonprofits who are doing incredible work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, Courtenay, tell me, what does your day look like? What is a day in the life of Courtenay Rogers, COO of Girls to the Moon? And it can be, if you've got, do you have another job that you do that
So,
helps,
yeah.
pay the bills while you're launching
Yep.
this?
Yeah. So I am a technologist. I'm a consultant. I was in the technology world for about 4 years, working for two different technology agencies. And I realized that what I was doing for the agencies, as much as I really liked them, I could do that on my own. And so a couple years ago, I went out on my own. And so I do a lot of high level strategic project management. And I speak geek, and that's something that I said it as a joke one time, and it resonated so well that I just kind of used that as one of my taglines. But I know enough about technology and coding and websites and um, digital marketing to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a coder, but I understand it enough to where I can speak intelligently to a technologist who might be coding a website or implementing a digital strategy or something like that. And then I can translate that for the client and figure out what they need the best, what's going to work best for them. So I do that to pay my bills, and I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy it. And I have some amazing clients. Ultimately, I do want to do Girls to the Moon full time,
Mm-hmm.
but we're a startup and we're bootstrapped. So we're growing slowly and smartly. I'm a single mom, so I am the sole provider for my family and my daughter. So, I start early getting my daughter on the bus. I normally work from home a couple hours in the morning, honestly, so I don't have to deal with the commute.
Yes, that's great. If you
Then,
can do that, that's awesome, especially in Nashville these
yeah,
days.
exactly. I just kind of let the traffic deal with itself. And then I co-work in an office in Nashville for a couple days a week. A lot of my clients are in Nashville, so most of the time I'll just, head over to their office and meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of 5 days, I get back home so I can get my daughter off the bus, and I'll work from home for another 2 hours or so while she does homework or, plays, whatever she wants to do. Tuesdays and Thursdays, my parents live super close to me. That's one of the reasons I moved back here, is being a single mom. I knew I needed help. So
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, my mom or my dad will pick up my daughter for me so I can have long days. So that's where I schedule my late meetings and networking. I speak, I do some public speaking. So that's, kind of my Tuesday, Thursday. Last year, I ran for state representative in Williamson County. So I didn't win, but it was an incredible experience for me. So I'm still really involved with local politics. And
Yeah.
one of my personal missions moving forward is to not just empower young girls to change the world, but to get more women to run for office.
Oh, that's
And run for
great.
office. Yeah, it could be school board, alderman, commissioner, city
Mm-hmm.
council. I mean, ultimately, yes, we need more women representing us in the state level and the national level. But I have a lot of coffees with women who want to run for office, and I'm loving that. So I've got an activist side of me that keeps me busy as well. It really is it's a strong, powerful fuel for me to keep going with things like Girls to the Moon. So when I'm exhausted and I just want to go to sleep or, just do nothing, that Girls to the Moon and getting people engaged, and staying engaged in my local community really keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
And I've
So,
got some friends. I take some time to myself. My weekends, my Saturdays, I really try to just spend with my daughter and do fun
yeah.
things. And then Sundays are always our Girls to the Moon days, and we put in long hours together as a team on Sundays.
Oh, okay. So Sundays is your, getting together and really focusing on that. That's good that y'all have that set. I
We
think that
do.
it's very important for, to set aside a regular time if you're launching something or even if you're just continuing and you've got a group, together to continue to meet on a regular basis. That's so important.
Yeah, we have Knight, our CEO, is very disciplined, and we have an agenda that's reviewed every week. We review our KPIs. We see what's happening for the next week or two. We've got a marketing plan. Yeah, we have to stay on schedule because all three of us have side gigs. We all are. This is our side gig. All three
Mm-hmm.
of us have full-time jobs. And so, it can get to the point where you're so overwhelmed that if you don't stay on track and follow an agenda and honestly respect people's time as well. So we try to
Right.
keep it to a 4 or 5 hour window
Mm-hmm.
and get a lot done. And then we each go with our tasks for the week. We use Slack constantly. We're always
I
checking in with
love
each other.
Slack.
We love Slack. So we've got different channels for that. We actually use Highrise, which they are one of our sponsors, but we use Highrise to keep all of our members and our sponsors and our speakers and all of our tasks organized. And so that's really, really helpful.
That's great. And speaking of, we were talking about Nashville earlier. What is your favorite restaurant here in Nashville?
Okay, so I used to write a blog about cheeseburgers.
You
So
did? Oh my
yes,
goodness.
I used to be a wannabe food blogger, and by wannabe, it just means I wanted to blog about cheeseburgers, so I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, I'm the girl that'll go to the fancy steak restaurant and get the
And get
cheeseburger.
the cheeseburger. Wow. Okay, can I just tell you really quickly who I think has the best cheeseburger in town
Yes,
that I've
please do.
had? I haven't had very many, but oh goodness, now I just lost it. It's on Hillsborough Village. It's Fido's.
Fido. Oh my gosh, they're my top three always.
Seriously, so it's your top three.
Yeah,
So I'm on to something because
it's
I was like, this
yes, but
burger is very good.
it's so good. It's lamb, pork, and beef.
That's why.
That's why it's so good. And then it has this delicious, um, it's not pomegranate sauce, but it's like a fruity sauce that you wouldn't think to put on a cheeseburger, but then they do, and it's amazing. So yeah, you're up there. I
Oh
really
yeah,
love Gabby's too. Gabby's is one of my favorites.
Gabby's
Like
is
just
good. Mm-hmm.
good burger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I'm trying to think. I was just at Butcher Town Hall.
I love Butcher Town Hall. They have the best
Uh,
meat ever. Like
yes.
all
And
their
so
meat
their
is good.
burger is as good as you would think.
The burger is what? It's good or not as good?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Really? Oh, I'm gonna have to try that
Yes.
next time. I'll have to get a burger on the side of the big slab of meat that I order. I get the ribs and the brisket because I'm from
It's so good.
Texas.
Yeah, so that's one of my
Beef
favorites.
is
So
what's
I'm
for
in
dinner.
Nashville a lot, but then I live in Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say my favorite restaurant in all of Williamson and Davidson would be the Red Pony in Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay, I've not been there, so I'll have to try that out. Red Pony.
Really good. Red Pony was one of the first high-end restaurants that came into Franklin that wasn't like the restaurant you would just go to with your parents or grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just, super cool. He went to Ole Miss. He's a couple years older than me, and I did graduate from the University of Mississippi, so I have to support my alum. But
Cool.
Red Pony, I love just going to the bar and having a glass of wine and whatever their appetizer is, or having a special night at Red Pony. But by far my favorite.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So, what are you loving these days? Three things that you're absolutely loving.
Three things that I am loving. So I am loving Teen Vogue.
Okay.
Teen Vogue is doing so much great work, breaking news stories and getting out information that's super, super important for anyone and everyone to read. But I love that their audience is a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
I love, okay, I'm a dork. I'm a geek. So I love WordPress. And I know that sounds just like what that's so
You
random, but
do?
I
Oh,
do. So we we built our site on WordPress, and then we had someone come in and make it super, super cool. And we're figuring out how to do really awesome things on our own within our WordPress website. And there's something empowering about like, oh, I can do that on my own website. And by it's mostly Night who does it, but we help her.
mm-hmm.
um, so that's really, I don't know, it's awesome when you know that you want to do something and you want to market something within your own business that you don't have to go pay someone thousands of dollars to do it for you when
Mm-hmm.
you can figure it out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's very empowering. I love that.
yeah, it really is. It really is. And then also, okay, my daughter and I started reading the book Wonder. It
Okay.
came
Tell
out a
me about
couple years ago,
that.
but it's about a young boy who looks very different than everyone else. And it's just really a great book to teach kids about empathy and kindness. And
Mm.
so we're going old school. Claire, my daughter, reads all the time by herself,
Mm-hmm.
but we decided to read this book together. And I love it because it's no phone, no technology, everything's off. She's just sitting next to me with her head under my arm reading a book to me. And it's such a great,
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, hold on to those moments. Oh,
I
those are
know, I
precious.
know.
Precious.
Yes.
Well, Courtney, thank you so much for coming on. I love what you guys are doing, and we're going to put more information on my website about it. And I'm just super excited for your this year and what it all holds. I'm sure it's going to just rocket to the moon for sure. Because you've
Thank
got a
you.
great.
Yes, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking about Girls to the Moon because ultimately we can change the world if we empower these girls at a young age to be confident. Self-confidence is life-changing.
We can absolutely give these young girls self-confidence. Such powerful work that Girls to the Moon is doing online and here in the Nashville area. Courtney and Girls to the Moon is giving away 1 star-level membership to a Rising Stories listener. This membership will include a set of 4 awesome women note cards, stationery and envelopes, a set of 4 Girls to the Moon buttons, and here's the cool part: an unlimited access to their exclusive online members community. This giveaway is open to North American listeners only, and you must be 18 years or older to enter. So I hope you're entering for that special 10 to 14-year-old in your life. And by entering, you agree to terms and conditions on Instagram. Also, the deadline to enter will be July 23rd, 2017. So there are 2 ways to enter to win. One is on Instagram. All you have to do is go to my Instagram page at Corinne Sandifer and follow and tag a friend on the Rising Stories podcast post today featuring Courtenay Rogers and Girls to the Moon. The other way is to click on the link provided in the show notes in the description on iTunes and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be entered to win. So the link will be just right below in the description on your iTunes podcast app. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on the show with the link provided in the show notes at CorinneSandifer.com. Thanks for listening and keep rising in your own story.